Hey, so welcome everyone. Hello, this is Jason Gorenstein, and I am bringing you once again another live streaming yoga class. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Today is July the 2nd, 2020. The time is just a few minutes past 9 a.m. Please feel free to check in, say hi, let me know how your day is going. It's always good to hear from you guys, just to see who's watching or who's viewing the videos. And without further ado, we're going to begin. So I'm going to have you guys start in child's pose. And I'm going to be practicing with you all. This is a Vinyasa flow, all levels practice. I apologize, the trash man's outside, so he will be by shortly. Okay. And without further ado, let us begin. And we're going to begin uh, in our child's pose posture. So as you feel ready, just extend your arms forward of the chest, release your head on down, and allow yourself to be with your breath here. Begin to notice both your inhalations and your exhalations. And just allow your breath to be long and slow. As you continue to breathe here, you're just starting to find your way back towards your body, back towards your breath. And this is a great way for us to start our practice together. It allows for us to find our way back into the present moment. Good. And as you feel ready, you'll inhale, you'll lift the chest on up, you'll come in a tabletop pose, and you're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow pose on your own. So spread across the fingers, firm the outer arms in. And as you're ready, inhale, peel your chest on up. And as you exhale, round across the shoulders and release the head on down. Inhale, floating the chest up, drawing the tops of the shoulders back. And as you exhale, rounding across the spine. One more time, inhaling here, lifting through the chest, heart, and sternum. And on an exhale, pressing down through the toes, floating the legs back and up, downward facing dog pose. So see that the fingers are pressing on down. See that the head is releasing down towards the mat. And allow yourself to breathe here. So spread across your fingers, lift your inner arms up, wrap your outer arms in, and breathe. So once again, this is an opportunity for us to begin to find our way into our breath, into our body, and just simply allow ourselves to relax here. Good. And as you're ready, inhale, shift forward into plank, the top of a push-up pose. And be here for a moment. Just press down through your fingers. Spread across the fingers here. Wrap your outer armpits in. And absorb your frontal ribs into your frontal hip bones. As you exhale, hinge those hips up and back. Find your way into downward facing dog pose once again. Excellent. From downward facing dog pose, let's lower the knees down onto the mat. And we're going to step the right foot forward in between the hands. Take both arms and float the arms up towards the ceiling. So as you raise through the fingers here, press down through the left shin. See that the left outer thigh is hugging in. See that the right thigh is pressing on down. Take the fingers into the center chest and interlace the fingers here. Press your palms forward in front of you and raise your arms up towards the ceiling. We're going to take cat and cow pose in this position. So on an exhale, begin to round the spine here. Good. And as you inhale, begin to lift up the arms and lift up the top of the chest. As you exhale again, let the shoulders round here. See that the shoulders are moving towards the fingers. And on an inhale, press down through your left shin and lift the arms all the way up. As you exhale one more time, begin to round across the top of the spine. And as you inhale, float those arms all the way up back to the ceiling. Exhale, release the hands down to the mat. Step your right leg back to meet your left and find your way back into your downward facing dog pose. So downward facing dog pose, once again, shift forward into plank and lower the knees down to the mat. You're going to step your left foot in between your hands this time and inhale, float your arms up towards the ceiling. So as you raise up through those fingers, See that that right calf is pressing on down. Feel the right thigh hugging in. And breathe here as you press down through the left thigh as well. Take the hands into the center chest. Interlace the fingers the goofy way this time and press your palms forward in front of you. As you feel ready, inhale, float your arms up towards the ceiling and raise up through the center chest. On an exhale, begin to round across the spine and release that head all the way down. As you inhale here, press through the left foot. Inhale, float those arms up again. And as you exhale, once again, rounding across the upper shoulder blades. One more time. Inhale, floating those arms up towards the ceiling, raising through the fingers. And as you exhale, gliding those fingers down to the mat and stepping your left leg to meet the right in downward facing dog pose. And again, breathing here in downward facing dog pose, just releasing the head all the way down to the mat. So we take our time here to just feel into our body. And as we move into yoga and as we develop ourselves in yoga practice, it's a great opportunity for us to just observe the feeling in the body. If yoga teaches us anything, it teaches us how to feel our bodies. And as you feel ready, begin to walk the feet forward towards the hands. Take your hands to your shins. Inhale and lift your chest halfway up. And as you exhale here, hinge at those hips and release the trunk of the body all the way down. Now take your thumbs and place your thumbs into the creases of your elbows and allow the head to lengthen any amount more towards the floor. So as you breathe here, you'll draw the elbows over towards the left side of the room, and then you'll bring the elbows back into center. And you'll draw the elbows over the right side of the room, and you'll bring the elbows back into center. So release that head on down and just breathe here as you continue to lengthen through those shoulders. Now take the hands to the low back. Press down through the tops of the feet. As you inhale, lift the chest up and find your way to standing. Very good. So spread across the fingers here. Lift up through the center chest and feel both feet pressing down into the mat evenly here. So we're going to move through what we call a sun salutation. As you inhale, raise your arms up above your head, looking up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, forward fold here and release those hands all the way down to the mat. As you inhale, lifting the chest up halfway here, wrapping your outer triceps in. And on an exhale, hinging on forward and releasing the hands back down to the earth. As you inhale, float those arms up towards the ceiling, raising up through those fingers once again. Maybe the palms touch. And as you exhale, gliding those hands back down and out to the sides of the body. So as we take this pose, just continue to open up that chest, spread those fingers wide apart, and spread across the feet. Inhaling again to float the arms up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, hinge and fold, and release the hands down to the mat. Take your hands to the shins once again. Inhale, peel up the chest. And on an exhale, once again here, release the trunk of the body all the way down. Inhale, float your arms up towards the ceiling, raising up through the fingers. Maybe the palms touch. And on an exhale, glide your hands out and back down to your sides. One more time. Inhale, raising the arms up above your head, raising up through your fingers. And on an exhale, hinge at those hips and release the torso all the way down. As you inhale here, bring your hands to the shins, lengthen across the chest. Now take your hands down to the mat, walk your feet back, and find your way into downward facing dog pose. So again, we're in downward facing dog pose here. Just press through the fingers, release the forehead down, and breathe here. Lower the knees down to the mat. And we're going to step the right foot forward once again. Now take the hands to either side of that foot. Press down through the right foot, press down through the left foot. And as you inhale here, lift the left leg up off the mat. So as you lift the left leg off the mat, lift the chest, lift the heart, lift the sternum. And now spin the left heel down to the mat and take your arms up towards your sides. So the arms extend out to your sides and you're bending really deeply into that right knee. Take your hands, place them on your hips, and begin to look at your right leg. See that your right knee is in line with your right foot. See that your left foot is turned in. On an inhalation, begin to straighten across that right leg. And on an exhalation, bend more deeply into that right knee. So we're going to work with the arms now. So take the arms out to the sides. And as you inhale, float your arms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, glide your arms down and out to the sides. So be here for a moment. Feel the feet pressing down. Feel the palms pressing down as if they're pressing down into imaginary clouds. Extend the arms out from the center chest and continue to breathe here as you sink down into those hips. As you feel ready, turn the left palm up towards the ceiling. Bring the left palm down to the mat and step your right leg back to meet the left leg. So now as we come forward, we shift into plank pose, top of a push-up. We lower the knees down to the mat. We're going to bend our elbows halfway and pause here. As you feel ready, inhale, press down through the fingers, lift up, and exhale. Float those hips on back, downward facing dog pose. And again, we're going to lower the knees down to the mat, and we'll step the left foot this time in between the hands. See that the fingers are on either side of that foot, and begin to press down through the right foot to lift the right leg up. Now spin the right heel down to the mat. Walk the left toes over so that the left heel lines up with the right arch of the foot. And as you hug the left buttocks and inhale, take the arms up and out to the side. So warrior two pose. I'm going to turn around so I can see you guys. So as you take warrior two pose, be here for a moment and then straighten across that left leg. Take your hands back to your hips and look towards the left foot just to see that the left foot's in a line. Bend deeply into that left knee and take the arms back out to the sides. One more time. Inhale, straighten those arms up towards the ceiling as you lift through those side ribs. On an exhalation, bring those hands back out to the sides and bend deeply into that left knee. Good. So as we press through the feet here, look over those left fingers and then turn the right palm up towards the ceiling. Windmill the hands down to the mat and step your left foot to meet your right foot at the back of the mat. So as you feel ready, once again, let's shift forward into plank pose. Lower the knees down. Bend the elbows halfway. Inhale, press on up. As you press those thighs on back, downward facing dog pose. Good. So now we'll move through what we call a classical vinyasa. So as you feel ready, you're going to shift forward into plank pose. You're going to lower the knees down to the mat. One more time, bend the elbows halfway and lower the chest all the way down. Now walk the hands back to the side ribs. Inhale, begin to peel up the chest here. On an exhale, begin to release the forehead down and tuck the toes underneath. As you press down through the fingers, lift the chest on up and lift the thigh bones back and up as you come into downward facing dog pose. So that's what we call a vinyasa. It happens a lot oftentimes in our yoga practice. And as you feel ready here, begin to look forward in between the hands. Walk the feet forward to the top of the mat. Inhale, lifting up halfway. As you exhale here, hinge at those hips and release the head down to the mat. Inhale, float those arms up towards the ceiling, raising through the fingers here. And as you exhale, glide the arms out to the sides and come back into Tadasana. Okay, guys. So let's begin to move through some vinyasas together. So as you feel ready, once again, float those arms up towards the ceiling and look up towards the fingers. As you exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way down to the mat. As you inhale here, lengthen through the chest, heart, and sternum. Now take your hands down to the mat, walk the feet back, and find your way into the top of a push-up. Lower those knees down to the mat. Bend the elbows halfway. This time, if you'd like, tuck the toes underneath. And as you press down, straighten the arms all the way. So this is called high cobra pose. As you exhale, press through those fingers and come back into downward facing dog. So downward facing dog pose, spread across the fingers, release the head down to the mat. And then as you inhale, you're going to step this time your right foot in between your hands. Spin the left heel down to the side of the mat. Firm your right buttocks in. And as you inhale here, take the arms out to the sides and come back into warrior two. Let's take our hands to our hips once again and straighten across that right leg. So just to see that the right leg is in a single line, Bend deeply into that right knee. Take the arms out to the sides again, and then begin to hinge at those hips forward. We're going to do this a few times. Glide the chest on back, and then hinge forward again. Glide the chest on back, and hinge forward again. We're going to do it one more time. Glide the chest on back, hinge forward again. This time, place your right forearm on top of the right thigh. Left hand comes to the left hip. Press through the left ball of the foot and begin to revolve the chest up towards the ceiling. Now take your left fingers up towards the ceiling, reach them all the way up, and breathe here. Good, guys. So let's take that left hand, let's glide it on down, and then let's glide the left arm all the way up and over the head. Look to the left fingers. See that the left thumb is extending up towards the ceiling as you revolve the left pinky finger down towards the mat. This is called Utthita Parsvakonasana pose. Inhale, drawing that left arm up. Let the left arm lift us up back into Warrior Two. Turn the left palm up towards the ceiling. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Spin onto the back ball of the foot. Step your right leg back and come back into plank pose. So hold plank pose for a moment. See that the fingers are pressing down. Feel the inner arms lifting up. Feel the belly lifting towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, lower those knees down and bend the elbows halfway. Once again, tuck the toes underneath. Inhale, lift up through the chest. This is called High Cobra. If you'd like, tuck the toes underneath and lift up those legs for upward facing dog pose. As you exhale, shift those hips up and back for downward facing dog pose. Good, guys. So from here, we're going to step the left foot forward in between the hands. I'm just going to spin around to the other side of the mat to do so. You're going to press down through the right ball of the foot and turn the right heel down towards the mat. As you feel ready, windmill your hands up and out to the sides, Warrior Two pose. From Warrior Two pose, inhale, lift the arms up towards the ceiling and straighten that left leg again. One more time as you exhale, bend deeply into that left knee. Now, about 4 times here, you're going to hinge forward, and then you're going to glide back into that right arm. And you're going to hinge forward, so you're using your abdominal muscles, and you glide back into that right leg. Hinge forward once again, and glide on back here. This is one more time. Hinge forward. This time, place your left forearm on top of the left thigh. Inhale, float that right arm up towards the ceiling, and breathe here as you lift through the top of the chest. This is called extended side angle pose. And as you're ready here, take your right arm, glide your right thumb down to the mat, glide your right thumb all the way up and out over your head. Press down through the right outer foot, see that the right hip turns down towards the mat, and then look up at the right fingers as you extend the right palm up and over the head. Inhale, right arm lifts on up. Let that right arm lift us up and out of the pose. Warrior Two. Turn the right palm up towards the ceiling. Windmill the hands down to the mat and step the left leg to meet the right. I'm going to flip over again. Okay. So as you feel ready, lower the chest, come into plank pose, lower the knees down, and this time lower the chest all the way down to the mat. So now, take your hands, place your hands behind your back, and interlace your fingers here. And you're going to lightly begin to draw your fingers back all the way towards the backs of the heels. And as you inhale here, begin to peel the chest on up. We don't have to lift up that high. The toes are pressing down, the outer arms are drawing in, and you're breathing here as you hug the belly in towards the center chest. On an exhale, lower that head down and release the hands back down to the sides. Now tuck the toes underneath, press down through the fingers to lift up the chest, and on an exhale, once again, take yourself back into downward facing dog pose. So breathing in downward facing dog, we're going to windshield wiper the feet. So you're going to turn both feet over to the right side of the room, and you're going to lift up onto your right fingertips. So this is a variation pose of downward facing dog, just to stretch out the left side of the body. You'll come back to center once again as you release the right palm down to the mat. And then you'll spin your toes over to the left side and come up onto the fingertips of your left hand. So you come up onto those fingertips and you press deeply into that right palm. And then once again, you'll come back to center and release the left palm on down. Now look forward in between the hands once again. Walk the feet forward to the front of the mat. And as you inhale here, lift up the chest halfway. And as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling, palms face one another. And as you exhale, glide those hands back down into your sides. Okay, so take your right arm, extend your right arm all the way up towards the ceiling, and spin your right palm to the back of the room. Bend that right elbow and place the right palm on the right shoulder. Now take your left arm, left thumb faces the ceiling, and then glide your left thumb down to the floor. Bend that left elbow and glide your left hand up the back. Bend your knees here and see if you can either clasp at your hands or at your t-shirt. So I'll show you both variations. It's going to look opposite for you, but you can see that either your fingers are touching here or you're grabbing hold of your t-shirt here as you draw your right elbow up and you draw your left elbow down. Nice. And then as you exhale, release that bind in the arms and open up the chest. One more time, other side. Inhale, lift the left arm up. Bend into that left elbow. Take the right arm out to the side and turn the right thumb down towards the ground. Bend at that right elbow. Bend the knees here and see if you can clasp the fingers. So I'll turn around behind. And as you can see here, the elbows are drawing in opposite directions as you soften those frontal ribs. Good. Straighten the legs, release the hands, and take the arms out to the side. So we're going to come back to that in a little bit. Inhale, float the arms up above your head. And as you exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, lengthening through the chest here, Ardha Uttanasana. And as you exhale, walk those feet on back, planting the hands down, downward facing dog pose. So downward facing dog pose, once again, we're going to step the right foot in between the hands. You can always lower the left knee down to do so. Spin the left heel down. See that your right heel lines up with your left arch of the foot. Draw the right buttocks in, take the arms out to the sides, warrior two pose. Straighten across that right leg and take the hands to the hips again. So we're going to come back to that action of tilting the hips that we just did earlier. And you're just going to lean your right hip back and you're going to draw the chest on up. You're going to lean your right hip in and you're going to draw the chest on up. You're going to press down through the right hip and lean the right hip in. And draw that hip on up. Good. One more time, leaning on forward. Now take your right arm and imagine you're reaching forward all the way to the front of the room. Well, they're not imagine, you actually are. And then take your left hand and reach it all the way back to the back of the room. Good. Release the right hand down on your shin and take your left arm up towards the ceiling. This is called triangle pose. As you press down through both feet, see that you're wrapping your right outer tricep in. Firm your belly in here and see that you're lifting through your left arm. So as you lift up through that left arm, draw the shoulders back and continue to lift through the left side of the chest. Good. Inhale, let that left arm pick us up, and then exhale, bend deeply into that right knee. So we're going to come back to our Parsvakonasana pose. Take your right forearm, place it on your right thigh. Left hand comes to the left hip. As you feel ready here, inhale, float your left arm up and over your head. Now, if you'd like, and you feel like you have some room to move, you can move your right hand inside the leg. But only do this if you can do it without compromising the back of the pose. So the right knee draws in, and the right buttocks hugs in, and you keep bending deeply into that right knee. Inhale, float that left arm up, and let the left arm lift us up to warrior two. Take the left arm to the ceiling and windmill the left palm down to the floor. Step the right leg back. Shift forward once again into plank pose. I'd recommend bending the knees to the floor as you bend the elbows halfway. Inhale, lifting up the chest. If you'd like, lifting up the legs as well. And as you exhale, pressing back into your downward facing dog pose. So again, downward facing dog pose here. Spread across the fingers. Feel the inner arms lifting up. Feel the outer triceps wrapping in. See that the thigh bones press back and see that the heels lengthen back to the back of the mat. On the next breath, step the left foot in between your hands. Spin the right heel down. Firm the left buttocks in. And as you inhale, float the arms up and out. Warrior two pose. So from warrior two, straighten across that left leg and take the hands to the hips. And a few times here, we're just going to hinge at that left hip and lift the chest back up to standing. We're going to hinge at that left hip again, and then you're going to allow the chest to come back to standing. Hinge at that hip again, And allow that chest to come back to standing. Okay, so this time we add the arms and you hinge at that left hip. So now let the left arm extend all the way forward and release the left hand under the shoulder. Now take the right hand up and extend your right arm up towards the ceiling. Press down through both feet. Allow the outer thighs to revolve in. Breathe as you hug the navel in towards the back of the spine and lift across both arms. Now take your right arm, extend it back up, and lift back into Warrior Two. And as you take Warrior Two pose, bend that left elbow again and bring it onto the left thigh. Right arm extends up towards the ceiling here as we move into extended side angle pose. So let's just start by taking the right arm and gliding it up and over the head and moving into this variation of extended side angle pose. If you'd like, take your left palm, glide it down the leg, and bring it to the floor. If you decided to do this, please, please, please keep your left buttocks moving in towards the body. You want to keep your hips in a line here if you decided to move into the traditional pose. Now take that right arm up towards the ceiling. Let that right arm lift you on up, Warrior Two pose. Turn the right palm up towards the ceiling and windmill the hands down to the mat. Step your left leg back to meet the right. I'm going to spin over the other side of the mat. And then come back into plank pose. Lower the knees down to the mat. Lower the chest all the way down. Okay. So the forehead comes back onto the mat once again. Interlace the fingers behind you and begin to pull those fingers back to the buttocks. And as you pull those fingers back, spread across the shoulder blades and begin to inhale, peel up the chest once again. Press down through the top of the right foot. Inhale, float the left leg up. Draw the left thigh into center and lift up through the left inner leg. On an exhale, lower that left foot down. As you press down through the left foot, lift the right leg up, draw the right thigh in, and inhale, lift the right leg up. So once again, we're lifting through the right inner leg as you hug the belly in. On an exhale, release that right foot down and release the head and arms down. So just be here for a moment as you release. Good. Now take your hands to the sides of the chest. And again, inhale, press down the hands to lift the chest up. Walk the toes in, maybe upward facing dog, and eventually shifting back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Shavasana. So once again, we're going to look in between the hands and we're going to walk the feet forward. As you inhale, lengthen halfway here. As you exhale, forward fold. Take your hands to the low back, interlace the fingers here, and lift your arms up towards the ceiling. So your arms are in the same arm variation that we just took in Shalambhasana's pose. And as you exhale, release those hands down to the back. Now take the hands, re-interlace them, and glide the arms up one more time. Your hands are in Shalambhasana's pose. They're in Badangolyasana. The fingers are interlaced. And then take your hands to your low back once again. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the chest, and find your way to standing. Excellent. Okay. So coming to standing, we're going to take a standing variation pose. So you're going to bend your knees slightly here, and you're going to take your left leg and bring it over your right. So my left foot makes a kickstand here. My right knee is bent, and my left thigh is on top of my right thigh. Then take your hands, bring your hands up like your elbows are crossed, and you're going to draw your left arm underneath your right and hug around your shoulders. Okay, so this is the first preface to this pose. As you hug across the shoulders, lift the chest up and breathe here. So you have a kickstand in those legs, you're bending into that right knee, and you're seeing if you can make both hips level behind you so you can feel both sit bones here. And then as you exhale, hands come back to the hips, and you're going to release back into Tadasana. So we have to take the opposite side of that pose. Bend the knees, take the right leg, cross it over the left, and see that the right thigh is on top of the left thigh. Now take your hands, bring your right arm underneath your left arm this time, and hug at your shoulders here. So see that that belly is hugging in. Feel the hips both leveling themselves so that that left hip and the right hip are on the even plane, and hug that belly in. And then once again here, begin to uncross those legs and take the arms out to the sides. One more time. Inhale, float the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hinging at the hips and forward fold here. Inhale, lifting through the chest, the heart, the sternum. As you plant the hands down to the mat, walk the feet back and find your way into plank pose. As you come into plank pose, lower the knees down, lower the chest all the way down. Good. Inhale, peel up the chest and the heart for cobra pose. And as you exhale, tucking the toes underneath, float the thighs back behind you, downward facing dog. So we're going to revisit a pose that we started with today. You're going to take the right foot and step the right foot in between the hands. You can always lower the, whoa, sorry about that, guys. You can always lower the left knee to do so here. And as you feel ready, you're going to press down through the left ball of the foot. Inhale, lift that left leg up. Now take your hands, okay? Take your hands and bring your hands along the sides of the body. Press that left heel back. Firm the left outer thigh in and breathe here as you lengthen through the chest. With control, using your feet, begin to inhale, lift the chest on up. Now float those arms up towards the ceiling and breathe here. This is called crescent pose. And as you take crescent pose, just see if you can keep lifting through those arms, the chest, and the shoulders. On an exhalation, take those hands and place them back down to the mat. Good. Now step your right foot back. And again, move through a vinyasa. So you can I always recommend the variation to lower the knees down. If you want to move through classical variation, you can bend the elbows halfway, inhale, lift the chest up, and exhale, press back. But even for myself, I still practice the cobra variation most of the time. It's a better variation to do. And as you feel ready here, you're going to step the left foot in between the hands. So see that right leg is lifted if you decided to lower the right knee down. And keep pressing back through that right heel as you firm the left outer thigh in. Press down through the left foot. Press down through the right ball of the foot. Inhale, take the arms along sides of the body. Imagine you're holding an imaginary block in between your hands. Squeeze the hands together as you draw the shoulder blades into the center chest. Now press down through the feet, inhale, lift the chest up, and float your arms up towards the ceiling. So everyone, this was a pose that we started with today, if you remember, and we come back to this pose. So this is called lunge pose. It's called Anjali-asana or lunge pose. As you exhale, take those hands back down to the mat and step your left foot on back. Shift forward into plank pose. You can lower halfway or all the way. Inhale, lift on up. As you exhale, press on back and find your way into downward facing dog pose. Excellent. So from downward facing dog pose, once again, we're going to walk the feet forward towards the hands. And you're going to inhale, bring your hands to your shins and lift up halfway. As you exhale, hinge at the hips and forward fold here. Inhale, raise the arms up towards the ceiling, squeezing that belly in. And on an exhale, taking your hands back to your sides and allowing your fingers to spread wide apart. So let's revisit the Garandasana, the eagle pose that we just did. Hands come back to the hips. Bend into that left knee. Take the left leg over the right. So you can stay here if you want to try. This is the classical variation of the pose. I'll show you from a side view. If you want to take the classical variation, you can try to lift up that leg and spin it around the back of your right calf. You don't have to take this variation, but this is the classical variation of the pose. With the arms, I'll instruct the classical variation as well. We'll take the arms, we'll bring the left arm under the right as if we're hugging our shoulders. You can stay here. Or if you want to move into the classical variation, you can lift the forearms towards each other and press the palms in. So all you do is you lift the arms up and you spin the fingers around one another. And as you exhale, just begin to lean on forward. Try to keep your attention in your breath. Try to keep your balance focused. Eyes are soft here. To come out of this pose, we inhale, lift the chest on up. We unlace the arms, we unlace the legs, and we take our hands back down to our sides. So take a moment here. Don't rush to the other side and just be here for breath. And this is a great way to settle ourselves into the posture. So Garandasana pose, eagle pose, great pose for our circulation, great pose for our digestive system. There's a lot of circulation going on in this pose, which is really good for our body. Hands come to the hips once again. Step your right foot over the left. So now you have your right thigh on top of the left thigh. And as you feel ready here, arms out to the sides. glide. This time your right arm under the left. So you can be here. This is the pose that I taught the first time. If you want to try the classical variation, you could spin the left foot around the right calf. You could take the arms and spin the right hand around the left. And then you can bend and fold on forward. So you can take either variation of this pose, and both of them are perfect for wherever we are right now. And as you inhale, lifting up those arms, uncrossing those legs, uncrossing those arms. And as you exhale, take those hands back down to the sides and be in Tadasana for a moment. Now bend your knees to 90 degrees and inhale, float your arms up towards the ceiling for chair pose. As you exhale, hinge at those hips and fold forward once again. As you inhale, lengthen through that chest, the heart, the sternum. Take the hands down to the mat. Once again, walk the feet on back. Plank pose. Lower down all the way. Inhale, peel up the chest. As you exhale, pressing on back for downward facing dog pose. Excellent. So downward facing dog pose, once again, we're going to step the right foot forward in between the hands. And you're going to spin the left heel out this time and inhale, take the hands to the hips. So this is a pose called Warrior One pose. We're just doing the legs first. So you're going to straighten that right leg all the way and bend deeply into that right knee. And straighten that right leg once again and bend deeply into that right knee. We're just doing it one more time. Straighten through that right leg and bend deeply into the right knee. Okay, so this time, inhale, lift the arms all the way up towards the ceiling here. And this pose, you want to really lengthen your body up towards the ceiling. So as you press down through the feet, feel your thighs pressing back, feel your belly engaged. Straighten across that right leg, and as you exhale, release the hands down to the mat. Step your right leg back once again. You can stay in downward facing dog if you'd like. If you want to join me for a vinyasa, please feel free to do so. So vinyasas are optional, as always, but you can feel free to take a vinyasa if you'd like. I'm going to do the other leg this time. So step the left foot in between the hands, spin the right heel down. Okay, so take a moment to get there. And as you feel ready, press down through the feet and inhale, float the hands to the hips. So one side you may be a little bit more open than the other, and that's fine. You're going to straighten across the left leg, and you're going to bend deeply into that left knee. Straighten across the left leg, and bend deeply into the left knee. And straighten across the left leg once again, and bend deeply into the left knee. Now inhale, raise those arms up towards the ceiling and lift up through those fingers. On an exhale, bring those hands back down to the mat and step the left leg on back. So again, we come forward into plank. We lower the knees on down. We lower the chest all the way down to the earth. We're going to come into classical Shalambhasana right now. So take your hands, glide your hands behind you. See that your fingers are facing the ceiling. Then begin to turn your thumbs so your thumbs face the floor and your pinky fingers face the ceiling. As you feel ready, lift the chest on up. Feel the arms lift up off the floor. And as you press down through the left foot, lift the right leg up. Now as you press down slightly through the right foot, lift the left foot up. So both feet are off the mat. Now turn your pinky toes down towards the floor. Big toes are touching one another. Pinky toes are revolving down towards the floor. This is called Shalambhasana's pose. Hug that belly in. As you exhale, lower the head down and lower the rest of the body down to the mat. Good. Take the hands, press the palms down, inhale, float the chest up, and on an exhale, once again, we take downward facing dog pose. Okay. So downward facing dog pose, one more time, we're going to lower the knees on down. We're going to spin the legs around in front of us, and then we're going to come lying onto our back. So I have a little bit of core work for you guys. Please be mindful with wherever your body's at. So if you're tending to any injuries, just be mindful. You can always keep your knees bent for any of the core work. I'll show you guys levels of the core work, so that way you can do whatever level best suits you. Hands come behind the head, knees bend, and shins are parallel with the mat. You're going to extend the right leg forward, and then you're going to draw the right knee in. And you'll extend the left leg forward, and you'll draw the left knee in. You'll extend the right leg forward and draw the right knee in. And extend the left leg forward and draw the right knee in. So if this gets too much, what you can do instead
of extending the leg, and this is what I teach beginner level students, is to just tap the foot on down and then lift that foot on up, and tap the foot on down and lift the foot on up. And let's just say here that you're looking for a little bit more and you want a little bit more effort in this movement. What you can do here is lift up the left leg as you extend the right, and then lift the right leg up. And then you can lift up the left leg, or extend the left leg, and then lift the left leg up. So this is a variation to take if you're looking for more abdominal work. If you're looking for less, keep the knees bent and extend legs alternating here. If you're looking for a really minimal amount, then just tap the foot here. All of these amounts, depending on the level that we're at, are all perfect. Okay? And then from here, just being here for another, we're going to take another 3 here. So just continue to move for another 3. Good. And 2. And 1. Excellent, guys. And then as you feel ready, hug those knees back into the chest. So abdominal work is really important in our practice. I know I should always do more of it. I try to do as much as I can, but it's extremely beneficial for our bodies. It really is. So take your arms out to the side, see that your palms face the ceiling, and draw both knees over to the right side. If you're still interested in doing more abdominal work, just see that your knees are floating off the floor. So as the knees move over to the right, the knees are floating off the floor. If you're not, just release the knees on down. And as you feel ready, knees come back to center and take the opposite side. Good, and one more time back to center here. And release those feet on down. Now take your hands and bring your hands to the edges of the mat and roll your shoulders underneath you. So see that your outer upper arms roll underneath you. As you press down through the feet, inhale, begin to peel the pelvis on up. So press down through the toes, press down through the thighs, and see that the shoulder blades move into the center chest. Allow the left shoulder to move under, allow the right shoulder to move under, and maybe interlace the fingers here underneath the center chest. And continue to breathe here. This is called bridge pose. Good, and from bridge pose, gently release the pelvis all the way down to the mat. You can roll your shoulders out for a moment and release the head back and down. So if you want, you can do bridge pose one more time here. I also teach Urdhva Dhanurasana. So Urdhva Dhanurasana is the full posture of, is like the full back bend pose. So if you want to try Urdhva Dhanurasana, you take your hands behind the shoulders, you press down through the feet, you lift the pelvis up, you hug the belly in, and you begin to press on down, lift up onto the top of the head. And if you are here, and this is a very big challenge for you, please don't go any further. If it's not, you can press your hands down and lift the chest on up and breathe here. This is called wheel pose. Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow or upward facing wheel. And as you exhale, chin comes towards the chest and release all the way down. So now, just relax those hands out to the sides and breathe here for a moment. And usually we take 3 back bends in a class. So if you'd like, you can take the hands back down to your sides. You can press the pelvis down, or press the feet down, interlace the fingers under your back, and lift up through the center chest. So this is once again our bridge pose. And from bridge pose here, you can take the hands behind the back, press the fingers down into the mat, hug the outer elbows in, and lift up onto the crown of the head. Again, hug the outer elbows in, press down, lift the chest up, and wrap the outer triceps in. And breathe here in Urdhva Dhanurasana if you'd like. And as you exhale, chin comes towards chest, lower on down, and hug your knees into the chest. Good. Okay. So from here, we're going to take the left leg and cross it under the right once again. And then you'll take your hands and you'll grab hold of your shins here. And as you grab hold of your shins, you're just going to close your eyes and breathe here. So this is called Gomukhasana legs. This is a great stretch for our hips. This is a great stretch for our groins. I'm just taking Gomukhasana legs here. Good, and as you exhale, you're going to uncross those legs. You'll recross them the other way. And take Gomukhasana legs once again as you breathe here. All right, and then from here, what we'll do is we'll hug the left knee into the chest. We'll take the left foot over the right thigh and we'll hug the right back of the thigh in. This is called our pigeon's pose, resting pigeon pose, or thread the needle pose. And breathe here. And then as you feel ready, the right knee comes in, right foot comes over the left thigh, and you'll do the same on the other side. So this is, once again, our thread the needle pose or resting pigeons pose. Good. And as you feel ready here, hug your knees into the chest and breathe here. We're going to take our happy baby pose. So grab hold of your big toe mounds of the feet, lift your heels up towards the ceiling, and breathe here. See that both feet are flexed. Allow the breath to be long and slow, and just breathe into those shoulders. Breathe into those hips. And on an exhale, release those feet on down. So now you can take your legs and you can just begin to extend your legs forward. And now we move into a pose. This is called Shavasana's pose. So the left shoulder comes underneath you, the right shoulder comes underneath you, and release the legs out to the sides. And we're usually here for 2 to 3 minutes. And just let that breath become long and slow here. Good, and then bend the knees. Roll the legs over onto a side. And as you inhale, press your way up and find your way into a seated pose. So as we come back to seated here, see that the hands come into the center chest. And on an exhale, just release the chin towards the chest and releasing on down. Inhale, lifting up the head. And as you feel ready, floating the eyes. Namaste, yogis. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. So, thank you guys for joining. For anybody else who was joining the class, once again, my name is Jason Gorenstein, and this is our Vinyasa Flow All Levels practice today, Thursday, July the 2nd, 2020, the time 9 a.m. To 9:55 a.m. And I hope that you're having a phenomenal rest of your day. So as I always share with you guys, my friends, be well, be happy. Namaste, yogis. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have an incredible day. Please feel free to like my Facebook page or press the like button. All these videos are live streaming on Facebook. All the videos are posted after the fact on YouTube. So if you have any interest in catching them, you can always catch them on YouTube. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk soon, yogis. Thank you guys so much. Bye, guys.